Well, in 1 minute, of course, there will be the separation of the satellite. G35, thank you, Raphaël. We were all waiting eagerly en route to space for this separation. This C-band telecommunications satellite was, of course, built by Maxar for Intelsat. Until then, what are the final important stages that we should be all looking out for?
Well, I mean, we will witness the separation of Galaxy 35, quickly followed by the separation of Galaxy 36. Then we'll have the separation of the dual launch structure, the SILDA, which is the black box right under it. And then we don't see it on the image, on the 3D image, but there is the MTG-I1 that is going to be separated in the final stage. And then the mission is not over for Ariane Space, because we perform passivation of the upper stage, and then it's going to be the end of the mission.
And separation should be right now for Galaxy 35. We're waiting for the confirmation.
Séparation G35.
Okay, so it's half a relief for the customer now.
Confirmed. Happy faces, thumbs up.
You see
Everyone's
happy faces,
smiling.
but also concentration,
Yeah.
because
Thank
it's
you.
definitely not over.
Yeah.
Now let's head to the fishbowl where we should be able to see, well, I don't know who he is, but Valérie Boucher, she is Intelsat project manager at Ariane Space and the person who coordinated all the internal activities to ensure that the launch went smoothly. It must be such a relief for her when I wouldn't even want to be in her place. But this is, of course, not the end of the mission, is it, guys?
No, it's not, because we said, there are many separations to come. It's also only for the customer the start of the journey, because they have to check that the satellite is doing perfectly, and also to bring the satellite from 1,000 kilometers from the surface of the Earth to 36,000 kilometers. So the journey. So this
Here
is
we have Valérie Boucher, Intelsat project manager, and of course before we had Tamara Tesley, who is the Rangers, the DDO, the Rangers Operation Director. Good evening, Valérie Boucher, and congratulations. Galaxy 36 is just about to be separated from Ariane 5, joining its brother Galaxy 35. Raphael, the first 4 satellites of the Galaxy constellation built by Maxar for Intelsat are not positioned in the same orbits. Why is this?
Well, I mean, they are quite close to each other. They are all positioned on the geostationary orbit, and they are all facing the North American area, which is a quite big one. So in order to cover everything, you need several satellites to be placed on this geostationary orbit in order to provide services also for remote areas. We know that in the US there are lots of deserts, mountains, so satellites are key assets to be complementary to terrestrial solutions.
Well, it's time to take a look at what's going on some 600 kilometers now above our heads. What is the status of Ariane 5? Raphael, I think we're waiting for the separation.
Yeah, and you see that we are still raising altitude. We went from 940 kilometers to 1,500 kilometers in only 3 minutes. And we are now about to witness the separation of the second upper stage passenger, Galaxy 36.
G36.
Yeah, in about 30 seconds. Just to give you also another order of magnitude, keep in mind that the International Space Station orbits around the Earth at only 450 or 400 kilometers. So we're way above it.
And before each flight, we make sure that we don't collide with the ISS, which is very important.
Okay.
That's part of the calculation.
Nothing is left to change.
Well, of course, we have our DDO, the Range Director's Operation, Tamara Tesley, up on the screen, who is about to announce any minute. 4 seconds.
Séparation G36.
So we have, so now we see happy faces.
Happy faces again.
For the
Brilliant.
upper passenger.
And I like the way they do it. You know, it's 1 sub up for the first satellite and 2 thumbs up for the second. Yes,
and then 3. Yeah.
Well,
Very
that is
important
just
step,
fantastic news.
But this is not over because we still have another passenger to.
What is the next? I'm getting very nervous.
Well, we'll see the SILDA, the dual launch structure, that is going to be separated. It's also quite tricky.
That's very, very tricky. So you have to separate the structure from the upper stage, and we technically call it an espresso capsule because
that's
because
right.
of its.
It looks like it.
It looks like an espresso capsule. What else?
George, stop it.
Yes, and but actually you have to make sure that you're able to separate it very smoothly. It's pushed by a set of springs, and everything as computed before so that it's correctly balanced, because any unbalance could harm the satellite that's right below, the MTG satellite that's right below this structure. So that's very, very
and when it's on the ground, it has to support also quite a large mass of the upper passenger.
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
Like 6.3 tons of the two Galaxy. So yeah, it has
and it's a very light structure that has to withstand this impressive mass that it has on top.
Well, now in 10 seconds, the SILDA should be...
And it should be separated, and we'll wait for this confirmation that it occurred.
We're waiting for the DDO.
And you can really see on the animation there.
Séparation SILDA.
All right. So confirmation that the SILDA has been successfully separated, and you can see that we are still gaining lots of altitude in 2 minutes. We've gained we have now come close to about 2,000 kilometers of altitude.
My question is there going to be a SILDA on Ariane 6?
Yes.
That's what all my space friend geeks want to know.
Yes, we will still need to perform some dual launches or triple launches as we have today. But we have a new dual launch structure, a new DLS, that will be actually larger and higher. So now we can really accommodate bigger satellites on top and below the DLS.
It helps us to propose many different...
Can I just interrupt you? We have now Sébastien Nomé in the fishbowl. He is EUMETSAT's program director for Ariane Espace. Good evening. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was saying that we have lots of configurations that we can imagine under the Ariane 6 fairing. This is probably also why we have been so successful in selling Ariane 6 so far, because we sold 28 Ariane 6 already, including 18 for famous constellation. So we are really looking for the first flight of Ariane 6.
I got the message of it.
With only a few seconds to go before the separation of MTG-I1, everyone must be holding their breath now. I'd like to remind you that MTG-I is the first of 6 satellites dedicated to weather forecasting. We are now waiting for the DDO, Tamara Tesley.
Séparation MTG-I1.
Brilliant.
Yes.
I want to applaud with them. Brilliant. They must be so happy.
3 thumbs up.
Now you can see the happy faces.
Everyone that we talked about earlier, they are all there. I mean, how wonderful for them. This must be so satisfying after months, years.
Yeah.
What teamwork.
No, again, it's years and years of work. I'm sorry, I have to say that it's only the beginning of the journey for the customer, because they have to take...
It's an exciting one.
They take the lead now from their mission control center, and they will perform maneuvers, in-orbit checks in order to get their satellite into their final geostationary orbit.
They are so happy. I'm happy for them.
Look at this.
This is just marvelous.
Yeah, now we need to wait for them to make contact with their spacecraft and monitor the entire health status of each one of these spacecraft.
And for the upper stage, we still need to make the passivation, so release the remaining of the propellant in order to prevent any risk of explosion in space. So there are still some maneuvers to be performed on our side in order to call it a mission success.
But we're obviously now in the fishbowl in the Jupiter control room. Stéphane is going to confirm this the successful mission, this mission completed. But can you talk to us about some of the images coming up while we wait for Stéphane?
I mean, everybody is very happy. Maybe I can add that.
Okay, what kind of anecdote can you give us? You've been there, you know what it's like.
I've been there once
excitement
with
of it.
customers that were visiting Kourou for the first time. So we were actually attending a launch for 2 other customers. But I can tell you that when you're there, you are really living the situation, and we were in the same boat. Everyone, and the tension there is amazing. And I can really tell you that time doesn't flow at the same pace.
So last Christmas, during the launch of the James Webb Space Telescope, people were wearing hats. Christmas
really?
hats.
A Christmas
yes.
hat?
Yeah.
It was
Well, it's
very
not
Christmassy.
Christmas yet.